I couldn't breathe. The flashlight on my phone was shaking in my hand, casting these long dancing shadows that seemed to move and warp against the walls of the dorm hallway. And there she was, the girl from the mirror, soaking wet, her skin pale and covered in dark bruises, with that smile, that awful, knowing smile, like she was in on some private, terrible joke. She was standing just inches away from me. "See me," she whispered, but it wasn't her lips moving. The voice wasn't coming from her mouth. It was inside my head. Every single word felt like it was being carved directly into my skull. I scrambled backward, tripping over my own feet. The hallway, it just stretched. It became impossibly long. The door at the far end shrinking into a tiny block. They weren't walls anymore. They were pulsating like wet, living skin, breathing slowly, rhythmically in and out. And with each breath, they would open just slightly, like parting flesh, letting me see glimpses of pure darkness behind them. Every step I took backward, I saw my reflection in the shattered pieces of the mirror on the floor. It wasn't right. It didn't match my movements. It would lag a half second behind, then jerk forward suddenly, and then that reflected smile. It would stretch wider, wider than any human mouth should. I screamed, but even my scream sounded wrong. It echoed back at me from the mirror, distorted and twisted into something monstrous. And that's when I saw it. A shadow crawling along the ceiling. But it moved against gravity, defying all logic. It stretched these impossibly thin, long limbs, gliding like a spider made of smoke, not bound by the physical world. And it whispered in a chorus of broken, overlapping voices, "You should have stayed out." I turned and ran, just ran down that never-ending hallway. The crying started again. It was softer this time, but somehow sharper, more piercing. It sounded like it was coming from multiple places at once, from inside the walls, from under the floor, from right behind my ear. The air turned thick and rotten, smelling of wet ash and old coppery blood. Every room I passed, the door number would flicker and change. I'd see room 312, and in the blink of an eye, it would become 314, then 309, then just a blank, smooth surface where a number used to be. The floor beneath me wasn't solid anymore. It rippled like water under my feet. I dared to glance down, and I saw my shoes sinking into it slightly, but it wasn't carpet. It wasn't wood. It was something else, something soft and yielding. The girl's voice echoed all around me, that same chilling whisper in my head. "You're not alone." I spun around, expecting to see her standing there, but she was gone. The hallway behind me was empty, but then I saw her face. Her reflection was plastered on the shiny surface of every single door I passed. Her eyes wide and staring, her mouth fixed in that terrifying smile, just waiting. I reached the stairwell and grabbed the railing to steady myself. It wasn't cold metal. It was warm, and it was pulsing like a massive vein. I snatched my hand back in disgust. The stairwell itself was a nightmare. It just extended downward infinitely, a dizzying spiral into blackness. And going up, it stretched into the heavens. Each step I took felt longer and heavier than the last. At the top of the landing, the lights flickered erratically. In those brief flashes of light, I saw them. Dozens of shadows, all standing perfectly still, imitating my posture exactly. My head tilted, my hands clenched. They copied every detail, except their faces. Their faces were all wrong. Their mouths were gaping, empty holes, no teeth, no tongues. Their eyes were just black, bottomless pools. And then one of them whispered, its voice perfectly clear and close, "Join us." I wanted to run, but my legs felt like they were made of lead. I was stuck. The hallway I just escaped from began to twist behind me, the walls bending and contorting like they were made of rubber. I could hear footsteps, dozens of them, coming from all directions and once above, below, behind. But when I looked, no one was there. There was just the sound of breathing. Heavy, wet, sick breathing all around me. Then, at the far end of the hall, it appeared, the black mirror from before. But it wasn't a mirror anymore. It had become a portal, a solid wall of pure, shifting darkness, pulsing with a life of its own. I don't know why, but I took a step closer. And inside that swirling void, I saw myself. But it wasn't me. It was something wearing my skin, something else looking out through my eyes. It smiled wider than I could ever manage, a predatory, triumphant grin. And then it mouthed a single sentence, something I didn't hear with my ears, but felt in the very marrow of my bones. I want your face. The moment it said that, the hallway behind me vanished. It was just gone. The floor tiles melted into a black, sticky goo that started to climb up my ankles. The walls stretched into an infinite gray void. And then the screaming started. The screams of all the other students from this building, the ones who had disappeared over the years. Their voices echoed from the darkness, a symphony of terror. I staggered back, tripping over nothing, falling through empty space. But my reflection in the portal was always there, just ahead of me, pulling me forward. I fumbled for my phone, desperate to call the RA, the police, anyone. No signal, not a single bar, just the words, "No service," of course. I looked up, and the girl's reflection was in every conceivable surface. Now the warped windows, the polished doorknobs, even the screen of my dead phone. Her smile was splitting her face, her lips pulling back to expose teeth that looked like sharp, jagged shards of glass. And she whispered, but this time her voice was the same as the chorus of whispers from the walls. "It's your turn." The shadows converged. They stretched and crawled, pouring out from the walls, the ceiling, the floor. Everything was reaching for me at once, long, inky tendrils trying to grab me. And then, my own reflection stepped out of the mirror. It climbed right out of the portal, solid and real. It looked exactly like me, from my terrified expression to my shaking hands. But it was smiling, that awful, wide smile. And it was reaching its hands out from my face. I screamed and stumbled backwards, falling to the floor. The mirror-faced girl, my own doppelganger, whispered, her voice a mix of my own and that of the girl from the mirror. "Run or stay and become part of us." The hallway stretched even further, the walls pulsating faster and faster, like a frantic heartbeat. Everything I knew about space, reality, my own body, it was all gone, erased. And then the black portal, the mirror, opened just a little wider. A new voice echoed from deep within, a voice that was ancient and hungry. Part 4 begins when you step inside. I froze, staring into the darkness, staring at myself. And that is where Part 3 ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to find out what happens next.